Welcome
to
the
Punk
Rock
Horror
Podcast.
Episode.
I don't remember.
God damn it, we were so it's 12. It's episode 12.
I know, I almost said 13.
I even said in my head, I'm like, he's gonna say 13. I know he's gonna fucking say 13. He's gonna say 13. And what's worse is he didn't say anything.
Yep. Because I didn't want to mess it up that bad. So I messed it up worse.
What?
I don't know, man.
Oh my god.
I'm tired.
I don't know why you're tired. It's only like...
Dude, I know.
It's only like 8 p.m.
You're only 8 p.m.
Yes, I'm very symmetrical. Thank you. Thank you.
Got those curves.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Bitches better step up. You ain't got curves like I do. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Girl. You look like a twig that had sex with another twig because you ain't nothing, bitch.
Ooh, yeah. Sometimes I hate us.
Yo, you made that apparent at one of our first episodes.
I know, but I just wanted to reiterate it.
I'm just saying, I know you hate us.
Sometimes.
I'm proud of who we are.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, I love us.
I'm proud of who we are.
I never said I wasn't proud of it.
No, I just want to say I am.
Well, I am too.
So, Cody, what's something that you love and something you hate?
Something I love is actually you, Lauren, and Aaron coming up this weekend.
Aww.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I know Dev and Audrey really enjoyed it, especially going to the museum, getting coffee and stuff like that. I think it was a lot of fun, and it was kind of nice, like all of us doing something that didn't instead of just like hanging out in the apartment, watching movies, bitching about life.
I didn't, like we're doing now.
Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't tell you this when we were at the museum, the Discovery Museum up here in Fort Collins, Colorado. Aaron jumped on the piano for discovering music and stuff. That's what the exhibit's called.
Uh-huh.
And there was a girl that was about to get on almost before her, but she didn't get to it in time, and so she told Aaron, she's like, go ahead. And so I went up and helped played with Aaron, playing the piano with her, and the girl came back around who was trying to get in, and she kept looking at her dad to be like, do something. I want to play now, even though Aaron's been there for less than a minute. And I'm just I was like, I swear to God, if I have to get into a yelling match with this other dad or mom, I will.
Something I told Dev when we were pulling up to the museum. So I used to actually hang out across this little that little grassy area or dirt area that was in front of the museum or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I used to
the dirt area that the listeners can see.
Yeah. Well, I was telling you that you would know. But I used to bike across there and stuff like that. I've been over there so many times I didn't even know that was a museum. For the longest time. I didn't know that was the museum.
I blame our education system.
Yep. Jesus. So what's something you love, Matt?
You didn't say something you hate.
Well, you didn't ask for the hate.
I did. I know. I said, what is something you love and hate?
No, you just...
no, that's what I said.
You said it.
After this recording stops, I'm going to go back to that point and I'm going to prove it to you.
No.
Just say something. Now I'm forcing it. Now it's not natural.
Yeah, I know.
We're going to start this episode over.
I'm not prepared for it.
We're not going to start this episode over. Fine. Give it to me. Whatever.
Yeah, just something you love. I have to think of my hate thing.
Something I love is the return of something that we both grew up with that I didn't think was ever going to come back, that everyone's been talking about, at least people that matter, is the return of Fangoria.
Shit?
Yep, it's finally coming back.
Dope.
They're going to honor everyone's issues that haven't gotten their issues.
Cool.
They're actually going to send them out. The legit Fangoria magazine is coming back, and I am so excited because that was the only other magazine I would read besides comic books. Mm-hmm. It's so exciting because every time I went to Borders or any bookstore, if Fangoria was there, I would just sit there for hours on end reading about it. And what a lot of people probably don't realize, at least younger people, younger than us, don't realize is Fangoria was the epitome of where you would go to for upcoming horror and behind the scenes horror stuff. They were the top dogs in that industry.
The last Fangoria magazine I read was when Hatchet 3 was coming out.
Wow.
No, Wrong Turn. It was Wrong Turn 3.
I was gonna say, wait a minute, Hatch 3 is not that old.
No.
So I was gonna say
It's
that's
wrong
not too
turn
good.
3.
Yeah, I can't. I think the last one I read, oh god, it was for that one movie that came out with Lesha Cuthbert, where she was like captured in that like cell, like that clear glass box, like, and it was like kind of a torture film.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Pet. I think it's Pet. That was the last one I can remember reading about, and then I stopped seeing it, and I never knew what happened, and so I'm just really happy that it's finally back, and I can't wait to. Like, I might even just really consider, like, getting a subscription because I love that magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want me to say something I hate, or do you have
Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to hate on.
Oh, I know. I remember what you were going to hate on. The Rick and Morty.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Fucking the Rick and Morty people that are actually Jerry's.
Do you want to go?
So, yes. Okay, so... So I love Rick and Morty. I do, like, it's a really good show. It's really smart for... Especially, like, nowadays where... I feel like the comedy skits, like, shows are starting to get a little bit smarter, and Rick and Morty is, like, I definitely think in, like, a prime time to, like, be out, because it's definitely one of those shows that came out early, like, in way earlier, like, say, like, even 5, 6, or, like, 6, 7 years ago, it wouldn't have been appreciated. But, like, honestly, like, that person, because Dan Harmon tweeted out, about how he's not doing anything for season 4 right now because this one fan tweeted at him, get off your alcoholic lazy ass and start writing season 4.
Which,
like,
fuck you to that fan.
Yeah, fuck you to that guy, and fuck you to people like that. Like, Jesus Christ, he's making something that you enjoy, and then there's you people that go out there, like that fucking Asian kid that, like, flipped out at McDonald's when he asked for the goddamn Szechuan sauce, which honestly isn't that fucking good. I remember having it when it first came out, when Mulan came out. It wasn't that good. It's not that great a fucking sauce.
Looks like tar, tastes like anus.
Jesus Christ. And, like, he goes in there and he, like, wigs out and he's like, you don't have Szechuan sauce? And he, like, jumps on the counter. He's like, I'm Pickle Rick. Wee. And he, like, throws his shirt over his head, rolls around the fucking ground, like, squealing like a goddamn fucking pig getting sticked, and then runs out the door. Like, fuck you. And fuck you people that keep, like, harassing him for season 4. I get it. We all want season 4 to come out because it's a good show. I know my heart stopped for that too. Sorry, the computer looked like it was about to freeze.
It freeze and just like, God damn it.
But, like, seriously, it's fans like that ruin good quality shows, because Rick and Morty is a quality show. Like, it talks about so much stuff and has so much hidden meaning behind it. Like, yes, there are people that go in way too deep about it, but, like, still, like, I don't go run. I love Rick and Morty, but I don't run around fucking town with my shirt over my head trying to pretend I'm fucking, like, Cornholio screaming out, "I'm Pickle Rick!" Oh, God, yeah. Like, that's fucking stupid.
And, you know, I want to say more, like, we don't hate, like, it's not fans of the show in general, it's fanatics who take it to the unhealthy point, i.e. the kid yelling about the Szechuan sauce and, like, the whole Pickle Rick. That's what really started to hurt liking the show for me, because I used to be really into the show and loved it, but the whole Pickle Rick fad made me hate the show until I realized, like, I had to get to the point where I was like, I like the show, I respect Dan Harmon as a creator, so I'm going to watch it for that aspect, but I'm going to avoid every conversation with almost everyone, because the whole Pickle Rick thing fucking ruined it for me, because it wasn't that funny. It wasn't that funny of a fucking thing. Just going out and yelling, Pickle Rick! Isn't funny. When you just yell something and you don't follow up, there's no context to it. It's loud noises. And I understand for, like, some people that's humor, but I don't see why that's funny. It just isn't. Because that whole episode had something funny about it. That whole episode was hilarious, but everyone just, like, kept, like, making Pickle Rick memes and, like, Rick and, like, shit like that. And it just,
I'm Towel Rick!
Like, it got fucking stupid fast. And it's like, it's kind of the same reason, like, why I started hating Pokemon Go. Because it's like, we were the nerds in high school that loved that shit. And
they used to get, like, picked on about it.
And then, like, every, like, pressy bullshit bitch that fucking picked on me and you started playing it. It's like, oh my God, Pokemon trainer.
I always love Pokemon.
And I'm just like,
fuck yourself.
You are a lying whore.
Yeah, so, like, that's the thing that pisses me off. Especially, like, those people, because... Okay, If you are a Rick and Morty fan and you think you're a Rick, you're a fucking Jerry. I'm not. You're Jerry. Like, I know one person that's a true Rick and Morty fan that is more like Rick than fucking Jerry. But all you fucking assholes that are fanatics that run around, I'm Pickle Rick. You're fucking no. You're a Jerry. Get over yourself and realize how fucking shitty a person you are, especially if you're harassing Dan Harmon. Like, see, Jesus Christ, he made something you like. Leave him alone. Let him fucking write the shit. Like, you don't need to tweet calling them fucking names to get what you want, because it's going to be you that fucking ruins Rick and Morty, and that's why we won't get a season 4.
And just like
come on.
And like kind of what I just want to end on that is like if you're the person who's being mean to someone saying like, oh, you don't like it because you're not smart enough to understand the humor. First of all, the humor's not that fucking intelligent. Like, I don't know what you mean not smart enough to understand the humor. Like, that doesn't make sense. Some humor just isn't funny to people. Like I just stated with the whole yelling the Pickle Rick thing. Yeah. That's not funny to me, and I explained why. Maybe if somebody doesn't like, Rick and Morty and they don't think it's funny, maybe they just don't think it's funny.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the same thing with like people who didn't think Seinfeld was funny, or like the early seasons of The Simpsons. Like, they didn't like that type of fucking humor.
But we can all at least agree that Big Bang Theory isn't funny anymore.
It's not.
But
yeah, that's my kind of thing. And not just Rick and Morty fanatics, but like basically like you were saying on Pokemon Go, most like fucking fanboy bandwagon fanatics. Like, fuck you. That's why I actually hate the New England Patriots, because 90% of their fans are fucking bandwagon pieces of shit. Okay, like fuck you. All right, just fuck seriously.
You. All right, so.
What's the thing you hate?
For me, so I kind of already talked about it in like episode 11. So I got really mad at the local radio station here in Colorado, because it was there. So one day they were talking about like horror movies and stuff like that, and they're just like, I got one side of the argument. They're like, I don't get horror movies. Like, it's too scary for me. Like, like that part I get. Like, some people are just too scared of horror movies, and I get that. Like, I'm not gonna harp on them for that. But I got mad because they started kind of give like this negative connotation to like, or I don't know if connotation is the right word, but like negative like perspective of like horror movies and like white people like like them and stuff. And like when people are just like, I don't get like why you want to watch stuff like that. Like, why you want to watch stuff that scares you. Why would you want to be scared? Like, and I hate that fucking argument because because I understand that we're trying to be, but it sounds super fucking ignorant. Because it's like, for a lot of us, we watch it for the scare factor because it's thrilling. Kind of for like the same reasons that people go like to the shooting range or go watch. We've already talked about this in episode 1, like why people like to watch it. Some people just like to be scared, and for some people, it's a great escape because you go through so much shit on your day-to-day basis that it's easier to just watch a horror movie where people are getting killed by a fictitious thing that isn't real.
Yeah, because
it's a stress release. Because sometimes the real world is way more terrifying than a fictional world.
Yep.
And so it just makes me so angry because it's like, that's like, why do you watch fucking football then? Like, I don't get why you'd want to watch dudes tackle each other and catch a ball. Oh, why do you watch the news then? It's always depressing. Like, yeah. Or, why do you watch romantic comedies? It's the same garbled, regurgitated shit. Oh, why do you watch Disney movies? It's still the same garbled, regurgitated shit.
Yeah, why do you play video games?
Like,
it's a fucking escape.
Like, it's shit, like, don't shit on it because you don't understand it. And I know that's kind of hypocritical because of the shit we shit on.
And but we're doing basically shit on all of Disney and
the way I'm going. I will stand by it. Like,
I'm just saying.
But here's the thing. I'm making the example. Like, that. Yeah, you can say the same thing about everything. Yep. But like,
it is the same with horror movies.
But it just makes me mad because it's like horror movies always, I feel like, still kind of get the shit out of everything because everyone always thinks it's just gore, which I understand with certain movies why you would think that, but there's also a soul to it. There's an art to it, and there's respect that should be there. And it's also probably one of the more loving communities that I've seen and I've experienced. Yeah. Hell, from our Twitter, like, we have so many, like, not only just like punk rock bands, but also like horror, like, themed stuff, and and we'd love to connect with them. And like almost all podcasts I listen to that deal with horror, this kind of stuff, are usually ran by really kind people, and that are great to their fans. And it's just so frustrating and so angering when like you have this mainstay, like people that like the main media kind of stuff, but don't even give it a try to like understand why people like it or why horror is a thing, and it's just it makes me angry. Yeah. So before going forward though, I do want to like kind of give a little like respect to the late Debbie Lee Carrington, who passed away recently.
Yeah,
that was really sad, and you know that was originally going to be my thing I hate, but then that didn't make sense. That like so it's mournful, just it's mournful and sad that she passed away because she was such an icon in horror movies and in you know just the film industry in general, and it's really sad to just see that.
Yeah, she's she played Chucky and Tiffany.
Yep.
For those that don't know, she played Chucky in in the new Cult of Chucky. She actually played. She was the Curse Chucky.
There was Curse and Cult of Chucky.
Yeah, she actually did the movements for the Chucky doll and everything, and then she played Tiffany in Seed of Chucky and I believe Bride of Chucky also.
Yeah, that was really sad.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, and you know condolences, and you know best of our prayers to her friends and family, and anyone who was affected by her passing.
Yep.
So, so moving forward today, we're gonna talk about the movies, The Falculty and Slither.
Which, what funny things are like just kind of going off that with those two movies because like if you didn't know they're alien movies.
You know, because of the theme from Monday's episode.
Yep. Funny thing, especially with The Faculty, it's always, for me, like, I always liked The Faculty, even when I saw it when I was a kid, and, like, I enjoyed it a lot, but it's always one of those movies that you don't, it's never in the forefront of your mind. Like, at least for me it is. It's always, like, I always forget about it, and then when someone brings it up, I'm like, oh, yeah, I really like that movie.
Well, we're going to try to give it a second chance today.
Yeah, and then even same with Slither, because like after I saw, like when I first saw it, I didn't like it that much, but then I saw it again, and I truly appreciated it, because I think it was because of like, it was, I remember
it's really obscure humor.
Yeah, because the marketing campaign made it look like it was going to be this big B-movie style comedy, more than like a horror movie, and then like when you see it, it's very subtle and like, not your average humor. Like that you would see in a dark comedy or a horror comedy, and so like and I enjoyed it. I enjoy Slither more now that I'm older.
Yeah, I was a big fan of both, but I think I was mostly freaked out by Faculty a little more because I saw.
That was definitely more
because I saw it at a young age. So
yeah, that scared the shit out of me. I could not look my gym teacher in the eyes.
So since I went, last time, I'll go first this time.
Yep.
All right. So. I did The Faculty, which came out in 1998. It was directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by David Retcher, Bruce Kimmel, and Kevin Williamson. Cast are Jana Brewster, Clea Duvall, Josh Hartnett, Sean Hatosi, Laura Harris. This one always trips me up. Famke Janssen with Piper Laurie and Elijah Wood. So... I got
very star-studded cast.
I know. There's even more stars in this than that. Yeah. That I wanted to include, but I did it for, you know, obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of like actual like known actors that you would see that you do see in this movie. Like even did you ever see that one movie, the Not Another Teen Movie?
Yeah.
The parody on the nerd.
Yeah.
That he's in the movie, The Faculty, as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even fucking Danny Masterson's in the movie.
Huh.
You know, before he, like, raped a girl.
Fucking Danny Masterson.
Chirp, chirp. Chirp, chirp. Well.
Tweet.
Tweet. Tweet.
Tweet. Tweet. Tweet.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But I just got to pull up the movie real quick. So, if you've never seen Faculty, the synopsis of it is students start to suspect that their teachers are aliens after a few bizarre occurrences begin to occur within their school. I had to ad-lib it again because all it says is students suspect that their teachers are aliens after bizarre occurrences. Get it together, IMDb. Get it fucking together. So, I picked this movie because I like I said, I liked it when I was a kid, and it generally like freaked me out when I was really young. And so, some of the pros of this movie is that it creates a really good and very unsettling atmosphere when it comes to authority figures, and being able to trust authority figures, because it's just kind of like, when you're a teenager, you kind of suspect that everyone who's trying to help you actually has it out for you. And so this movie really plays off on that fear. And that you're going to see that a lot with the pacing of this film, is that there's a lot of unsettling intensity, and you really see it with Robert Patrick, which if you guys if that name rings a bell, that was actually the T-1000 in Terminator 2. And he was in he was in a lot of movies, but that's probably his most memorable role. Well, I won't say memorable, but
he also was he replaced Agent Mulder in the X-Files.
Yeah, and like people like who he is, like. But that's the one that everyone thinks of as him as the T-1000.
Yep.
But he does a very good job at being a very intense and unsettling villain in this whole movie. Key point is like in the beginning of the film, when he first gets infected, he then chases down the principal, and there's a scene within that a part in that whole scene where he's chasing down the principal, where he just is running down the hallway, blowing his like whistle. And you just see him run at her, and it's actually, it still makes me jump to say, because it's so intense, and you just see the crazy in his eyes, and you see that he wants to not, you can't tell if he wants to either like make her an alien as well, or just murder her, and it's such an unsettling scene, everything he's in, and then what also going with Robert Patrick, one thing that made me laugh was like in the beginning of this movie, he's like flipping out on the football field, and so he walks up to the bench, and he's just strutting up to it, and he just like grabs the bench, he's like, "Fuck this day," and I'm like, that's how I feel every goddamn day. Like, you get it, Robert Patrick. Like, that's my anger, and you're the epitome of it. I want to flip over benches all the time, and it's so funny because the way he does it, it's just, there's so much passion in it. Going forward with,
I bet he was actually having a bad day.
He's like, "The director will get off my fucking ass."
Yeah, like that was totally ad libbed and everything. Like it was just him having a bad day. They're like, "Did you get that on camera?" Yeah, save it.
Success. Another thing that's a pro of this movie is that Elijah Wood plays a really good underdog, and you really want to see him win, because he's the nerdy the nerdy character, but he's not so nerdy where you hate him in every scene because he's just pathetic. But like he
doesn't play a stereotypical pathetic.
No, he does a really good balance. He stands up for himself. He calls people out. Like Elijah Wood, when he gets bullied, he stands up for himself. Even like with Jordana Brewster's character, he's just like, "I don't remember when you became such a fucking bitch." Like, it just calls her out, and like, that's what I love about his character, is that it gives more credit to nerds in high school, art people.
Yeah.
That, we're not just always going to cower away. Like, he definitely steps to the plate, because there's a jock he's friends with, and there's like the burnout that he's friends with, or the outcast, whatever, and you think they would be the most reliable in this entire, well, I wouldn't say reliable, but the most like, they're the ones that are going to come out on the top.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the nerd, and that's what I love about it, is that they give credit to the nerd, who, he's smart, but cautious, but also brave. But going forward more with like how unsettling this movie is, and just like how creepy is that one scene that really epitomizes that that theme and atmosphere for this movie is the shower scene with Susan Willis and Sean Hatosi. I think did I say his last name wrong? I feel like I did.
I don't know.
Yeah, Sean Hatosi. And Susan Willis, where he's taking a shower and whatnot. She walks into the shower, and like the parasite that they try to put into her brain, like her body isn't strong enough for it. So she's like decomposing as she's walking, basically. Yeah. And so like she's all like, she naked, trying to, and like he's holding her naked and whatnot, and he just takes off like a piece of her hair and scalp falls off, and it's just it's such a good, creepy, unsettling scene that really works for this movie. And then what I also want to point out is that the majority of the group that like of the heroes of this movie are pretty smart when it comes to figuring out the motive for the aliens and how do they stop them. The only one who's kind of clueless is the jock, which plays to a negative stereotype, but either way, like all of them start to pick up, on what the aliens are weak against and what they're allergic against and how they can fight them and why they're in this high school, which is like what Elijah Wood said, which is, if you're going to invade Earth, would you knock on the front door and go blow up the White House, or would you come through the back door?
Yeah.
So, which it makes sense, but I still include it as a con because I'm like, a high school? Like,
yeah.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of other places that you could have started it, besides just dilapidating high school, but whatever. It seemed kind of weak. And then, that as transitioning into the cons, that there is still a lot of run-of-the-mill stereotype characters where you have, the popular girl who's actually really smart, but she doesn't want to come off that way because she wants to be popular. And then you have the jock who doesn't want to play football anymore. He wants to actually study and be smart. And then you have the angry goth girl who's mad at the world and the burnout who never graduates. And like, there's still a lot of like, cut from the, blog stereotypes, which kind of makes it hard to get into them at some points in the movies, but it just it works a little bit against the movie here and there until more like mid through half near the end, where it's not as much of a bother. Another con of this movie is that Jon Stewart's character, like, he plays a science teacher, but was really fucking stupid because he put his hands in the tank of water in his classroom with the alien species that he knows nothing about. He knows nothing about the species, so he puts only a glove on in a hand of water. And I get it, like, scientists, have to do unconventional means to, like, make discoveries and study something, but putting your hand in a water with a species that you know nothing about seems like a really dumb fucking thing for a science teacher to do. Yeah. So that was a really frustrating scene to kind of watch. And then also Casey, Elijah Wood's character, falls a lot in this movie, and it just
because nerds aren't sporty.
Yeah.
We can't run.
We run fast, just not well. Also, another thing that was really bothering me in this movie is that the way they transfer the alien is through the ear canal or through like an orifice, but they only show the ear canal from one transporter to another. So like in another scene in the movie is where Robert Patrick was holding down Selma Hayek's character and just putting an alien through her ear. Yeah. Like, you can hear her, like, she screams loud, yet no one hears anyone when they start screaming of, like, aliens being put in people's ears and blood coming out. No one can, even there's a scene where the principal puts, like, an alien in a cop's ear, and, the other officer's there, and she sees, like, them wrestling in the office, and she doesn't go check it out, and the dude just doesn't scream. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. So, like, the alien, that's what I'm saying, like, the alien's, like, plan should have been blown from the beginning because of that. Also, like, I kind of made this, like, a con, but like, they explained it in the movie, like, why it's a bad thing, because it's, like, freedom of choice. But the alien worms basically make people fix themselves up and make them better. So what's so bad about taking care of your appearance and showing off what you got and like not being less of a dilho all the time?
'Cause it's not you.
Well, and I get that, but it's just like, for that to be like the kind of like thing that starts tipping people off, like, it makes sense and it's smart, but at the same time it's also kind of funny because it's like, Robert Patrick, his character, the coach is like, yeah, the coach is really nice. He's a fucking alien.
Well, I think that's because that also like deals with like how we perceive people like back in high school and stuff like that. Because I knew, like, if I had a teacher that was an asshole for most of the time, and then all of a sudden like they're really nice to me, I'm just like, what's your end game? Right. Like, who are you? What have you done with like Mrs. Blah blah blah?
Well, that goes back into like trusting authority. Well, I guess like I would take that off the con list then, because now I'm saying it out loud, that makes sense. Like why that's something to like start distrusting and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. When someone completely changes who they are.
Because now thinking about like that makes sense like why the characters change in the movie. Like the jock wants to become more smarter, and they don't, because he's not acting like how he normally has acted all those years.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to why they would expect him to be an alien.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense now talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like I already said this, like, it's an alien, and I think it's kind of dumb to take over a high school first, because how do we know, like, the thing they don't show is how the alien got to the planet. So
yeah,
it had to get there some sort of, like, by advanced technology. So doesn't it have some sort of advanced technology to kind of do whatever it wants? Like,
mm-hmm.
I understand the whole idea of, like, why would you knock on the front door? Because you have advanced fucking technology. Like, if you have something to deflect a nuke, then there you go. Like, then why wouldn't you just go fucking attack the White House right away? And all their major capitals. And I'm just like, that doesn't make, like, I still don't understand why it would start in a high school.
Well, I think if you want to, like, I guess from a technical strategic option with a high school versus the White House, with a high school, it's not going to get put up on, like, all major news categories. And, like, if all of a sudden the president was acting different, all of a sudden, like, completely different.
Right.
Like, if teenagers started acting different, everyone's like, oh, they're being more respectful and better and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's not going to make the news.
But that's the thing, is that the alien apparently wanted its own planet so it can feel belong. So I guess, like, the alien was a bullied nerd on its own planet?
Yes.
Fucking Levy was like, oh, guys, fuck you. Fuck this place. I'm going to find my own planet, and I'm going to make it myself, okay? Out. And he just, like, does whatever you would as a flip-off with tentacles.
Yep.
Middle finger for tentacles, and just like goes out and just
that's why Cloverfield happened, because his bully was coming back.
they're actually cousins.
He was just like, hey Johnny, where are you? He just landed on the wrong state.
Weird. He said there'd be this giant like statue with like spikes on it. I don't see it anywhere. Like as he's like flipping through like a tourist book. I must have the wrong location. I just, I'm going to start this high school. Like, Johnny will think it's fucking great. Like, he's going to think it's hilarious. Get so much poontang. Another thing that really hurts this movie is that the CG does not hold up well. No. Especially for a 98 film. That's no excuse, because at least The Haunting that we talked about has its moments where it does hold up pretty well with its CG. But it just... Like, there's a scene where the principal, Bebe Neuwirth, I think is that actress's name. Or no, not her, it's Famika Jansen's. Her character gets beheaded, and so the head grows like tentacles. And
I forgot.
And you can tell that it's so CG.
The one scene that always, like, I couldn't believe was actually the end when Elijah Wood gets the worm sprayed on his face. They're, like, digging into his face. Oh, yeah. That looks so bad. So bad, like
wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Yeah, like you see his face like freak up, and like you could tell that they're not there. They're really not like on his face or anything. I was just like, oh.
Well, it was given out the fact that they were trying to dig through.
Yeah.
So.
No, I know, but I'm just saying the CG in that like was pretty bad.
One scene though that. Earlier in that scene where Famika Jansen's character gets beheaded is that Elijah Wood's character has to play a decoy for the whole, like, infected football team. Oh, yeah. So, like, there's a scene where he's running from a fucking, like out of the corner of a bus, and you see the whole football team come after him. And they're just like, ah! It's so fucking... Start the plane! Start the plane! It's so fucking funny. And you see Josh Hartnett in like an old-time aviator suit. He's just like trying to start it. And Elijah Wood gets in there and there's a fucking snake. And they're just in the air. It's like, oh shit, that's right, we gotta save humanity.
Yeah.
They just turn back around. Josh Hartnett's character's car just turns into a plane.
Yeah.
It's just such a funny scene because the way the football player, like, I get why they're running that way because they're wearing all that equipment, but it's still so fucking funny because it's just all of them at once. And I'm just like, how is a nerd outrunning all of you?
Yeah, right. Especially if he falls so much.
I'm pretty sure he should be dead. You know, whatever. We need a hero.
It was all those trips to Mordor.
He was actually training the entire time. And he's like, don't worry, guys. I've ran from a lot of alien infested football players.
Yeah, I can get to Mordor
Just fine.
I don't need your eagles.
But coming back to like why I really like this movie is that it's a really good unsettling movie. Like, it brings kind of like that same unsettling back of unsettling feeling of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and The Thing of like, who can you actually trust? And, you know, the ones who are infected become this very intense, you know, character that's hard to just, it's hard to stare at of how intense they are. Except for Usher. Yeah, Usher's in the movie. Did you not realize that?
No.
Yeah, he's a football player in the movie.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Like, he's even in the beginning where they're like playing The Kids Are Not Right by The Offspring. Yeah.
Great song.
It's a great song. Yeah, it actually
It's a movie.
It has a pretty solid like soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, but no, you know, it's an enjoyable movie. Like, it's an actually good like modern alien movie that it's fun to watch. Like, there's the special effect, not the special effects, the practical effects are really good. Like, when Susan Willis's scalp gets ripped off, that's actually done really well. And a lot of blood is, you know, there's a lot of good practical effect blood, and it's a really good, you know, teenage horror movie, which does hurt it, but in that age of the 90s where there was a lot of slashers, this was a nice film to see come out, especially with, you know, as much celebrities as they had in it and stars they have in it then. Like, because like seeing like Elijah Wood go from the Faculty to Lord of the Rings is very surreal.
Yeah,
You know?
like, it's hard to picture him in anything else.
And then from Incan Johnson going to Fast and the Furious, and Josh Hartnett even doing like 30 Days of Night and, you know, Penny Dreadful, like, you know, and all of them going on to bigger projects than that. It was very like, it's just very surreal to see. And that's why I really like this movie, is because the intensity that and the unsettling nature that a lot of characters do portray and display in the movie, and that's why I like it. Mm-hmm. Is for the intense pacing and how likable the characters can be. The last thing I will say about it is that the ending resolution makes no sense, because like all of a sudden Elijah Wood's character Casey is famous, but the thing is that how does the news program know about the alien? Like, they don't show the alien like being there. They don't show getting footage of the alien, and if so, like, if this was a real world thing, I'm pretty sure like the government would actually keep the whole thing under wraps.
Yeah.
And just like kidnap Casey and keep him under a hush hush kind of thing. And
well,
like
all of them.
Yeah, like especially the ones that were infected.
Yep.
Like, and also like, how do any of the affected remember anything that happened? Like, there's no, like, I'm sure you could like say, well, they were the person still, but how do we know? Like, how much control does the worm take over the person? Mm-hmm. Like, it's never really kind of like discussed, and so that's really kind of a frustrating resolution at the end, where you see all the characters kind of betray who they were. Like, Clea Duvall, like, she goes from being a goth character to like wearing more, you know, vibrant colors and being more kind of like a pretty preppy kind of girl kind of thing.
Yeah, and Josh Hartnett goes from the burnout to a football star.
And like, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like they're like completely betraying their character, which Josh Hartnett still doesn't, because he's still like smoking on the butt.
Yeah, but now he's on the team.
Yeah, but he's still like retaining like who he was, and still growing himself as a person. Where Clea Duvall, she's just like, no, I just wear vibrant colors. Yeah. Like, and there's no reason for it. Like, it just kind of doesn't like add up. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure like there's more story to that, but if you're gonna put that big of a change in a movie, you need to add a little background to it.
And then before we move on to the Slither, one thing that I wanted to add on to what I liked about the Faculty was the alien's weakness. Like, I like that a lot because it was pretty clever. And the fact that, like, because they were slug-like and they figured out that they needed to live off of, you know, like H2O and water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That killing them, you needed to hydrate them like slugs and stuff like that. Dehydrate, yeah. I thought that was actually kind of a cool twist instead of like, you know, signs they're allergic to water. The aliens were allergic to water, or like War of the Worlds, they were allergic to bacteria, and the common cold killed off all the alien invaders and stuff. Like, I kind of like that way of that's how they had to kill.
Well, the only thing I didn't like about that is like, is it certain water that worked for them? Because like, where was it? They were
in the pool and it was fine.
Yeah, because of the chlorine, and then I'm like, well, no, because I guess chlorine doesn't really dehydrate; it just disinfects.
Yeah,
but like, still, like, chlorine has no effect on. Like, I feel like that should have had some sort of effect. Like, but then again, like that goes back into what we were saying in episode 11, where it's a film making its own rules. Yeah. In this universe.
Yeah. So. All right. So we're gonna move on to my movie. I'm gonna talk about Slither. I forgot to write who wrote it, but it was directed by James Gunn. If that name sounds familiar, he's the one who does the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
What's that?
Shut up. It starred Michael Rooker, Nathan Fillion, Elizabeth Banks, Greg Henry, Jenna Fischer, and Tanya Salamander? I don't know, something like that. And Brenda James. And so, like, the synopsis of it is a small town is taken over by an alien plague, turning residents into zombies and all forms of mutant monsters. And so, like, one thing that I did like about, like, I kind of, like, didn't like about it was the whole zombie effect. Because, like, with this movie, you can tell who was infected. Because, like, the second they were infected by the alien, like, they started, like, mutating, right, like, almost instantly. That was, like, one thing I didn't really like about it. But at the same time, like, you're going into it like it's they made it like a B-rated horror movie. Yeah. Like, they definitely made that. But, like, one thing that I thought was kind of cool about it also was, like, again, all the big-name stars in this movie, like, before, like, that I never really recognized them. Like, when I first saw it, like, Michael Rooker being the main villain, like, he's more famous now for, of course, like, The Walking Dead and Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah,
I know, right? Like,
and, like, I totally forgot that Nathan Fillion was in it.
Yeah, you know, another nerd hero.
Mm-hmm. Elizabeth Banks.
Fucking Hunger Games, and she's in another horror movie that I wanted to talk about at some point, but I can't remember what it's called, because it's not The Unborn, it's something else. We'll get to it another day.
And then Jenna Fischer, which is really funny, because, like, if you don't know who that is, that's Pam from The Office.
She's in it?
Yeah, she's Shelby, the dispatcher. Yeah, like, when I first saw it, like, when she had a quick, like, glimpse in the beginning of the movie, I was like, is that Pam? Bam! And, like, she even still has the same mannerisms in this movie as she does in The Office. But one thing that I really liked about this movie is that, like, the comedy is not super upfront. Like, I said that earlier in the episode, like, that was one thing that I didn't like about it, was the fact that, like, it's shown off, like, when all the commercials and everything for the movie was made out to is going to be like a hardcore comedy, like alien comedy, horror comedy type movie, and then when you watch it, it's not like the comedy's not all up in your face and everything. It's very, like, subtle, or, like, it's only a couple characters, and it's not even like the characters you would think would be the funny ones. Like, Nathan Fillion isn't really that funny in the movie.
No, he does very, like, side joke kind of humor.
Yeah, it's only a couple times that he's funny, and, like, most of the comedy comes from the mayor. Just because he's such a douchebag, and it's so funny. Like, in the very beginning, like, you just see this big old Jeep, because it takes place in a small town, so it's like, America. And, like, he's, like, honking at him, like, get out of the fucking road, you jackass! And, like, there's this lady staring at him, he's like, hey, he's like, hi, mayor. And he's like, well, you lose some, you win some, so, like...
Well, one thing I kind of want to throw out to you is, like, a lot of the characters in these movies, like, are actually allude to a lot of various late 20th century monster movies. So,
Yeah.
and like, reason I bring that up is that in the opening scene, as they pan down to the street, you can see R.J. McCready's funeral home, which, if that name rings a bell for any of you out there, R.J. McCready was Kurt Russell's character in The Thing.
Yep. Yeah, they did a lot of homages to like.
Well, and the reason I bring that up is because like James Gunn is like a fan of these type of movies, and so when you see a fan take the helm of something like this, it's it's going to be a good movie.
Yeah,
like, and that's what I loved about like Slither was its humor and the gore of it.
Yeah, the gore is really well. So that was one. One of my cons about this movie is that sometimes the CG is really good and it still stands up. But then there are times that it's so bad. Like, even from the get-go, there's, like, a CG bird, and you can tell it's so bad.
But overall, does the CG hold up?
Again, it's almost like, it depends. Like, some scenes the CG holds up, and then some scenes it doesn't. Like, there's this one scene where near the end where you can see, like, the monsters kind of, like, morphing into, like, one giant monster. And then, like, that part is, like, it holds up really well.
I'm pretty sure
tell
that's like practical effects, isn't it?
Well, Michael Rooker himself, his character is practical, which is great. Like, that part is done really well. Especially, like, his transformations. Like, it's done really good. And then, like, also, like, just the zombie mutated aspects, like, is all done really well. But, like I said in the beginning, there's a CG bird that flies by, and you could tell it's super fake and super bad. And then his tentacles held up really well that come out of his stomach. And then one thing that I really liked about it is that they kind of stuck to like stereotypical like small town aspects. Like everyone has a big gun. And so Elizabeth Banks' character and Michael Rooker's character are married in the movie. And like everyone says like she married him for his money. Mm-hmm. Well, like the thing, and like Nathan Fillion like has the hots for her and stuff like that because they used to be like childhood friends and stuff like that whole I've been in love with her for all my life.
I'm going to save her with my dick.
Yeah, and so like one thing that I really liked about the movie was that Michael Rooker's character Grant, yes, so good they named him twice.
Grant.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Banks' character Starlet Grant. They really loved each other. Like, they actually loved each other, and it wasn't like...
You mean off-screen, or...?
No, on-screen.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, on-scrrin. They actually loved each other and had, like... Their marriage wasn't just built on the fact that he had money and she was hot. Like, in the beginning, like, it kind of feeds off of that because, like, he's trying to... he wants to have sex with her, and she's like, I'm not in the mood, and he gets all pissed off, and he walks out. And usually, in those kind of movies where it's like he married her because she's hot... he would leave and have an affair. Mm-hmm. And so he leaves and gets drunk and then meets up with like a girl that you had a crush on him for the longest time. And sorry for the crying.
It's a haunted baby crying.
Yeah. She starts kissing him and stuff, and he stops her and he was like, no, I'm married. My wife's worried about me. I need to go home. And then he does the stereotypical stupid thing, but like, oh, look at that pot over there. That doesn't look natural. Let's follow it. And, like, then he follows a trail, and he's the first one to get infected, and he becomes, like, the soul of the Hive Mind.
Yeah.
And, like, even when he's being controlled by the alien, there's still a little part of him that could never truly hurt Elizabeth Banks' character throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, because he truly loved her.
Yeah, and she throughout the whole movie, she wants to make sure he's okay.
It's kind of like a twisted, Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, kind of. And it's like, it was nice to see that aspect because, like I said, most of the times when you see those movies, like this, like the older rich dude, like he can get whatever woman he wants, even though he gets like the hot girl, he ends up like cheating on her and stuff like that, but he doesn't.
Well, because, Cody, the other guy she was with might have been his papa, but he wasn't her daddy.
Shut up. But that's one thing that I liked about it, and I liked... another thing I liked about it is that, like, it was a hive mind, and so, like, and the main characters weren't stupid. Like, in these movies, whenever the cops are called, it's usually, like, one or two. No, when they find out it's an alien thing... they all like mob out,
Yeah.
and like it's really funny because there's this one when they're all getting their guns. Like one of the guys like grabs this giant fucking like Starship Troopers gun. He was like, "Hey, do you think we need the grenade?" And he's like, "No, we'll save that for another time."
And then the grenade actually gets used later on to like save Nathan Fillion and
No, it doesn't get saved. He's about to use it, but it gets hit out the window and blows up in the pool.
Oh, okay.
And
I must be thinking of a different scene. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. And then that was one thing that I liked about it, and then it hits like the stereotypical like douchey politician with the mayor, like, you know, he's the biggest comedy of the whole thing, just because he overreacts to everything. Like when they find out it's an alien thing, and he was like, "We have to cover this up. He's not an alien squid thingy. He's leprosy. It's leprosy." And they're like, "All right, that's." And then when they see like the alien and everything, they look to the mayor and they're like, "Yeah, that's leprosy, all right."
I will say this: the mayor reminds me of the mayor from Eight-Legged Freaks a lot.
Yeah, but like, because I just think that's funny because he's like, "I need to worry about the election. We can't have the National Guard here because like of some kind of alien thing or whatever." Like, I thought that was like,
Even though the National Guard would probably help him out a lot more.
yeah, seriously.
Well, real quick though, sidebar is two really cool facts is that Jenna Fischer like disclosed on a television talk show that she got the role of Shelby as a birthday present from her spouse, James Gunn, after another actress dropped out of the movie. Being a big fan of zombie films, she always wanted to play zombie upon hearing the news. So, Jenna Fischer is a legit horror fan.
Aw, yeah.
Respect. Also, Rob Zombie was the voice of Dr. Carl talking to Starla on the phone.
Oh, no shit. That's awesome. I didn't catch that. Oh, that's
Dude,
dope.
through the ditches and burn through the
like,
aliens.
Well, the cool thing about like having them as zombies too is like it wasn't just like they kind of like played on the fact of where they just want to eat meat, and they always and like because there's a scene they had like the ones that they killed, and then they had that were used for meat because they were weak, and then they had the ones that they infected. And again, sorry about the crying, but it's a baby.
It's okay. I mean, we could pause it and then.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
But like, it was the fact that they were all hive mind, because like there's this part where like these cops get infected, and then they start talking to like Starla, Elizabeth Banks' character, as Grant.
Yeah.
And then another cool thing that showed off like they weren't all like dumb hicks and stuff like that is that so how they got infected was a slug through the mouth. And, like, all the cops, like, how they got infected, like, they didn't even try and grab the slug or anything. And then one of the main girls, I can't remember her name, she, when she's getting infected in the bathroom, like, the slug goes instantly in her mouth, and she instantly grabs it.
Yeah.
Like, instantly. Like, if
With
something's
her
going in my
nails.
mouth that I didn't want, I'm going to grab it. I'm not just going to wave my arms like, "Oh, let's see what it does." Like,
And she clawed it with her nails. She's like,
no!
and burns it with the curling iron.
Mm-hmm. And like it also kind of showed the cool aspect of the hive mind because she sees flashes of the main alien like back in the day and stuff like that.
So then what would you say the pacing is?
The pacing's like pretty good because like even though like Grant gets infected pretty early in the movie, like they do a good job of like showing a slow transformation for him going into madness, and then like once even he's super smart because he lures the cops into like where all the slugs are being born and stuff like that. Which again, is a great use of practical effects when she's all fat and bloated, full of like the slugs and stuff like that.
Which I love that scene.
Brenda's.
Which she actually blows up.
Yeah, like it's really funny because she's like just sitting there. She's like, "There's something wrong with me.
These fuckers are tearing me apart."
And then she explodes. Like they see him and they're like, "Oh shit, he just lured us into a trap." Like.
Balls, 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 balls.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I think the pacing is actually pretty good for the movie, especially because, like, they tell a decent story, and it shows that the aliens aren't, like, just for humans, because, like, one of the best scenes in the movie is when Nathan Fillion's fighting an infected dead deer. It's, like, beating the shit out of him, and then, like, the girl kills the deer, and then he's just, like, so when I tell this, like, this is the funniest part for him in the story, is he's, like, when I tell this story, I saved you. And she's like, yep, that's right. And then at the end of the movie, he's just like, hey, why don't you tell Starla about how I saved you from a deer? She's like, he saved me from a deer.
That part made me laugh so damn hard. I don't know why. I think it's just the way they delivered it. It was so fucking funny.
Yeah. So, like, it does a really good job with, like, over-the-top humor with, like, the mayor, and then also the dry humor that Nathan Fillion's, like, most good for. And it's just, like, everyone feeds off each other really well, too. Like, there's good chemistry with all the actors.
Definitely. Like, especially how they play off with Michael Rooker's character.
Yeah, Michael Rooker does such a good job, because normally you see him as, like, this hulking badass and stuff like that, and then in this movie, like, yeah, he's a badass because he's infected.
But he shows
like,
the soft side.
Yeah, he shows the soft side with how much he loves his wife, and I thought that was, like, a really cool thing to see in a movie.
Well, it's a conflicting villain, because it's, like, half of him, like, he loves her and doesn't want to hurt her, but the other half is being controlled by this alien, parasite.
Yeah. And, of course, like, there are some, like I said, there are some cons in it. I don't want to like keep praising it and stuff like that, even though it's really good, is that the marketing for it wasn't that good because it shows that that's something else and then it's not. And then,
well, what did it show it as?
Well, it showed it as more of a horror comedy. Like, I remember all the commercials when I was little. I really wanted to see the movie, and when I first saw it, I was disappointed in it because it wasn't as funny as what I thought it would be.
So, like, showed all the good stuff.
Yeah,
like the humor-wise.
Mm-hmm. And then you see the movie and it's not. But as I got older, like I definitely enjoyed it more. Like the second and third time I saw the movie, like I enjoyed it so much more because I was older.
Yeah.
And then also like I said, the CG definitely fluctuates between being really good and holding up to really bad. And then some of the stereotypes where everyone's stupid when like the slugs are infecting them, they don't try and pull it out; they just let it happen. They definitely do they paint like small town Montana. I don't know if it's in Montana, but like I'm just saying that pretty bad. Like everyone's kind of ignorant, all American. I like guns type thing.
Take my gun, get my country, terrorist.
Yeah. And like the other,
hey, Billy Bob, did you say you had sex with the guy in the jumpsuit?
And then, well, one thing that I do like there are scenes that definitely like pokes fun at those tropes, like with the whole like the mayor wanting to cover it up, saying it's like leprosy or leukemia or like trying to like say other things. All the cops like are making fun of them when they're about to go hunt down Grant. Like they make fun of them while they're doing it.
Well, two cons that I have of this is I actually at some point I kind of started hating the mayor because his character got it got a little more annoying further out in the movie
Yeah.
Because at some points it felt like the humor was kind of forced, but it's not. It's subtle, so it's a thing that kind of like really bothered me. Another thing is like when they finally they confront Michael Rooker's character in the field, like all of them just stare, and they don't all fire at once. Like when they had the opportune time, especially especially when he finally attacks, do they just all forget how to fucking aim?
Yeah, especially because he was right there in front of them. And then the other thing that I didn't like was the whole oh, let's break the law for this citizen that I have a crush on, when she's like, you have to take me with you to go get Grant. It's like, let's just go against everything and let her come with because I want it in her pants and I'm trying to help her save her husband.
Yeah.
So
we're to that point, he's kind of playing a stereotypical the woman needs the man to save her kind of thing.
And even though in the very end she's the one who ends up saving everybody, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, and she's also
she's badass in it, when she stabs the infected cop with the pike or whatever.
Yeah.
She's just like, ah, ah, ah. And the people are sitting in the car like, whoa.
But I think that scene just really bugs the shit out of me. It's just when they're standing in the field. I know we kind of, I just want to bring it back to that because it's they have all this firepower and then they just, even when he turns around, they can see, I get it, they're like, oh man, he's got a real, infection. He has fucking sharp teeth. He has a tentacle.
And he's all squid.
Do you really think he was just going to be like, hey guys, how's it going?
I'll go.
And you find him in a fucking field. It's not like he's in a bar and he has this infection. He's wearing a fucking hat.
Yeah.
Like, you just found out, like, there was a call on him, like, killing someone, or suspected, I think it was. And, like,
yes,
and, like, you just, like,
someone, and, like,
you just stand there. And so that, I feel like, is a negative trope on, like, the whole dumb hick kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I felt like if that was in a more urban setting, they would have not hesitated to, like, blow him away.
Oh, no, they would have surrounded him, just unloaded.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
Especially, like, going back in, like, episode 11, how we said, like, how people would react to aliens.
Yeah.
Like, that, like, it just, like, the fact that they don't even try to throw a grenade or something at him just really kind of bugs the shit out of me.
I know. Yeah, that bugged me. And, like, the fact that they all missed.
Like,
he was literally 10 feet away, and you missed.
Well, and here's the thing. Even if they landed all the shots and, like, blew his fucking ass to Kingdom Come, he's, like, it still could have played on the part where he could have regrown all of, like, everything that was shot off him.
Yeah.
Because he's, controlled by an alien species. And so, like, I really didn't like that scene. Or even, like, if he could run away that fast, like, what was the point of him turning around and killing a dude and then running off? And you could argue it's because it's like, oh, because he's still part human. But yeah, but if the alien was in that much control to, like, attack for him and to run for him, then why didn't it just run to begin with? Like,
yeah,
like that. The field scene just really. Again, I like the gore in that scene, but again, it just really kind of bugs the shit out of me. Do you want to make some final comments? Because I want to go back to the faculty real quick to throw out some interesting facts.
Yeah, definitely. It's, again, this is one of those movies where it's like, oh my god, all these stars are in it, and you always kind of forget about it. Definitely give Slither another watch. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it, especially, like, and understand, like, the comedy of it, because it's portrayed as a horror comedy. Like, it's very subtle, except for, like, a few characters, but, like, it's really good, and it's done really, really well, and it's cool to see, like, an older James Gunn film.
And I would even go off what you're saying, say, like, it's a good gateway horror film.
It is. It's a really good gateway horror film, and it's a really good gateway, like, movie film, because it's made to be, like, a B-movie horror film and everything.
Like, it has the great gore that you would see in a horror film, and it has good scary moments, but it balances it with the humor.
Yep.
So it's not always so tense. So, like, if you have a spouse or someone who's, gets really scared by horror movies, this is a good movie to have them watch because it'll have them laughing.
Yep. Especially most of the scenes with the mayor. Even though he'll piss you off at some point.
Yeah, and you can definitely... Cause
I'd laugh my ass off when he was in the car and he was like, "Where's my Mr. Pibb?" You did it? He's just like, "I just got attacked by some giant squid thing, and he didn't pack my effing Mr. Pibb," and, like, flips him down in the back.
Yes. That's how I'm going to react from now on. Like, if you pick me up, like, where's my Red Bull? It's been a whole fucking weekend. I got my goddamn.
Yeah, so,
I
like,
start punching, like, holes in the car.
So I thought, I always laugh really hard when I see that scene.
Red Bull, shameless plug. We'd like some sponsorships. And done. Now you can hear, like, all the punk rock bands going as sellouts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. This is a solid movie. That's definitely, like, a gateway horror film, and
yeah,
it's definitely a hidden gem that needs way more attention that's been given. Before we end the show, I do want to go back to, like, the faculty because I didn't throw out any interesting facts when I was talking about it. So a couple interesting facts is Clea Duvall's character, who is Stokely, is she's actually a homosexual in real life, and she plays a heterosexual, pretending to be a homosexual to scare people off. And
yeah, that's right.
And the irony is really funny. Famke Janssen revealed in 2016 that she has never actually seen the film, partly because she didn't want to see her character's on-screen fate. Which I guess I can understand.
Whatever, I'd want to see myself die in a movie.
And around 3 minutes, at one point, the principal suggests saving money by reusing the set from Our Town. The joke in this is that Thornton Wilder's Our Town has no set. A couple other ones that... This was also the first film debut of Jordana Brewster. And she was she was love interest in all the Fast and the Furious films. This is also Usher's first film debut. And sorry. So, and last interesting fact is that the girl student with the black top and the tan skirt who laughs at Elijah Wood getting his balls smashed into the flagpole near the beginning of the movie was Austin Rocker, Sarah Talbot, Talbot, who at the time was the front woman for the Hollywood wife beaters. Laughing at Wood was her idea, and the director kept it in.
That's pretty funny.
Okay. And finally, Jon Stewart plays Professor Edward Furlong in this movie, which Edward Furlong played John Connor in Terminator 2, chased by the T-1000 Terminator, played by Robert Patrick, which is the coach in this movie. So there's a lot of ironic things that are funny about it.
Yeah. Sorry. One other cool thing that I saw in Slither, the two little girls that end up getting infected. From the main teenager, who pulls the slug out of her mouth.
Yeah.
They're reading Goosebump books.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Did you also know, I think, it was the one chick watching a movie in Slither. She was actually watching The Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite movies.
I actually never saw The Toxic Avenger.
And also, interesting fact, if you guys, feel like you, the name Robert Rodriguez sounds familiar, is because he produced and made the Spy Kid movies and Planet Terror. Some of his most noteworthy movies right there.
And Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which Quentin Tarantino was in. And Sin City, A Dam for a Kill. We don't have to talk about that one. But yeah, he was in Predators, Machete Kills. A lot of, B movie stuff that's, the
grindhouse feel.
Yeah, which also, From Dusk Until Dawn came before The Faculty. Faculty was right after it.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's right.
Yeah, fun fact. All right, then. I think that brings us to the end of the show.
Yep.
Thank you all again to you beautiful, handsome, amazing listeners for downloading us every other week and listening to us. If you like to keep up with what we're doing and keep in touch with us, please and follow us on Facebook at punkrockhorrorpodcast and on Twitter at officialphp. And then on Instagram.
Yep, Instagram, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, #PH Podcast, PHP Podcast. Wherever you listen to us, please subscribe, like our video if you're on, our episodes on YouTube if you're on our YouTube channel. If you're on iTunes, again, please, we need those reviews and we need those ratings, and we'd really appreciate if you guys would give us a solid 5-star and tell us why you like us. And if you want your stories to be read on our Monday episodes, please send them to our email at punkrockhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. And if you have some movie suggestions that you think we should, review and give our opinions on, please send them in as well. Yep. And again, let us know if you guys are really interested in those shirts, because it's something we want to do, but we want to make them for the people who want to wear them. For all of you listeners who really want a Punk Rock Horror Podcast T-shirt. Yep. So, yeah, with that being said, thank you again for listening to us. Do you have anything you want to say? No, thank you guys. But by the way, I like how we stopped giving advice. Yeah, pretty much. I don't think anyone cares. No, I'm okay with that. All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.